So if you got your phone or your computer or whatever you've got right now, Google lean manufacturing. See how much you can learn about lean manufacturing before the class starts. So as you come in, before the class starts, take out your phone, your computer, whatever you've got that you can search the internet, Google lean manufacturing. While you're figuring out what you can learn about lean manufacturing before the class starts, I would like you to focus on lean manufacturing tools. So you might type lean manufacturing tools into Google and see what comes up. We get started about a minute and a half here. So you got a minute and a half to see if you can learn enough that you don't need to do this lecture. Or that you could teach the lecture. Who thinks after a minute and a half they could stand up here and talk for an hour?
About lean manufacturing?
Yeah.
Oh.
So there's a trick to that. I think I could do it. You name the topic, I could talk for an hour. But even you only got a minute left. If you get out your device and Google lean manufacturing, see what comes up. Oh, do I have to start? This is a really good song starting right now. Steve Miller Band, Abracadabra is in my ears right now. I'm not sure I want to start for the next 3 minutes. No, I guess we'll do it. Turn it off. Turn it off. Abracadabra. I want to reach out and grab you. All right. What are we talking about today? We will go ahead. We will get to lean manufacturing. So I have had. Let me count. All right. So I was an engineer. I was a real estate investor. I was a graduate student. I was a consultant. I was a business owner. I was a professor. 6 careers. Last 30 or so years, I have been through 6 careers. That's what, averaging 5 years per career. Some of them lasted longer. Some of them lasted shorter. So I finished WPI in 1995 on the 6-year plan. Started in 1989. My parents know how long it took me to finish. And I proceeded to lose 5 jobs in the next 2.5 years. Or you could say that I got 5 jobs over the next 2.5 years. It depends on the perspective, right? Glass half full, half empty, right? At the end of those 5 jobs, well, so for those first 5 jobs, I was a young engineer working in industry, right? So you guys expect to be young engineers working in industry at some point soon? What do you got to know to be a young engineer working in industry? You got to know some stuff, right? You got to talk yourself into the job, right? You've got to convince somebody to hire you. So you've got to talk yourself into the job. And what are you learning here at WPI? In all together, if you had to sum it up in one sentence, what do you learn here at WPI? They're like, not much this morning. Now, sum it up into one sentence. What are we learning at WPI? The lighting is weird today. Let me press this button here. That button did nothing. Let me press this button. That made a dramatic change. Now I'm going to press this button again. Yeah, I don't know. This is like a shadow on me on the camera view. What is WPI giving you? How much does it cost for you to be here? Have you totaled it up yet? Like $250,000. I advise MQPs all the time, and I get an MQP team with 4 people in it. And we're sitting there, and it's their senior year, and they're about to graduate and go be those young engineers in industry that we all want to be someday. And I look at them and I say, it cost $1 million to put you in this room. Your MQP needs to be worth $1 million. Think that through when you're doing your MQP. So what we're learning here at WPI is we're learning how to talk the language of engineering, right? That's really essentially what we're doing. We're learning what the words mean. We're learning how to use the words and put them together so that we make sense as an engineer. And we're discovering how to take ideas, talk about them in a certain way so that someone else or so that we can implement those ideas, right? So really, as students, we're learning the language of engineering. So the title of today's lecture, I think, is, I hate it when it does that. You guys know I hate it when it does that because it does it every single time. So the title of today's lecture is Technobabble, Buzzwords, and Lean Manufacturing. And we're going to show how that all follows through. So I had, 6 careers I talked about? So each of those careers, I had to learn a new language. So in the, I guess the one that sticks with me the most, and it's because I have spent more money learning this language than I paid for my WPI education. You guys are thinking your $250,000 education is expensive, right? After you graduate, if you're going to continue to grow in life, you're going to spend way more money than that learning stuff. And so I have spent well over $100,000 learning how to do sales and marketing. You say, but he's an engineering professor. Why is he spending well over $100,000 learning how to do sales and marketing? Because he's also a business owner. And if I know anything about being a business owner, it's so what's the cool thing about being a business owner? All the profits come to you, right? If you're the sole owner, if it's a closely held private corporation, all of the profit comes to you. You know what else comes to you? All of the expenses, right? Because if there's extra expense, that takes money out of my wallet. If there's extra profit, that puts money in my wallet. It makes me happy, right? And so what you learn as the owner of a small business, especially, is that you are 100% responsible for all of the sales and marketing. So I started learning about sales and marketing because what is it that gets you paid? I said this one of the lectures. What's the only thing in any business that gets you paid? Sending the invoice. But in order to get qualified to send the invoice, you got to deliver the products, you got to know the stuff, you got to do all those things. But so in order to send the invoice, you have to have made the initial sale, right? If there's no sales, there's no revenue, your business fails. Okay, so I've spent a lot of time. The other thing that intrigued me, and actually I started studying sales and marketing before I became a business owner in that sense. And it was because what is the role of sales and marketing? We'll get to engineering in a minute, don't worry. What's the role of sales and marketing though? Yes. Well, to sell things, right? So ultimately it's to sell things, but the marketing is to educate the consumer, educate the customer, educate the customer or the potential customer about the value of your proposition, whatever it is you're selling. And so I saw immediately that if I could learn about marketing, maybe I could be a better educator. Because that was actually what got me started in the study of sales and marketing, was to learn how to teach better. But in each of these different careers, I have to learn the words. So when I started studying sales and marketing, I had to learn about CPC. I had to learn about NLP. I had to learn how to use NLP to convince cold leads to become warm leads so that they could become customers, right? I had to learn the language, one, so that I could read all these sales and marketing books because they use all those acronyms. Anybody know what NLP is? This is a cool one. Neuro-linguistic programming. It's the science of, fooling your friends and family into doing things. Fooling is maybe the wrong word here, and NLP people don't get pissed at me. But this is about Technobabble and Buzzwords. It's the science of relating with people so that they will like you, so that they will do the thing you want them to do. How's that? Is that better? Dale Carnegie wrote a book. Anybody know what it is? Published in the 30s, I think. Still one of the most highly recommended business books in the world today. Nobody? How to Win Friends and Influence People. You guys should all read Dale Carnegie's book before you have your first job interview. Okay, Technobabble and Buzzwords. It's about it's about learning the language, right? Each industry has its own language. By the way, if you're doing sales and marketing, don't use Technobabble or Buzzwords when you're talking to your customers, unless it's jargon, right? Another word for Technobabble, buzzword, jargon. Unless it's jargon that's in the industry where your customers work and they know exactly what you mean, right? But if I start talking about marketing Technobabble to engineers, they don't get it. If I start talking engineering Technobabble, so what's some engineering Technobabble? What's some words you know that engineers know and that regular people don't? Yep. Safety factor, right? What else? What else you got? So speeds and feeds, that's sort of very specific to manufacturing and CNC machining. What else you got? Say again? Just CNC itself, right? I was actually on a marketing conference call yesterday, and one of the other people in the group that I'm in, he also sells in the CNC market. And so he was talking about his new offer to the rest of the group. We're all critiquing his offer. And he said the word CNC, and half the people in the group are like, what the heck is that? And it's like, don't worry, my customers know what it is. Right? But they were selling him, don't use this jargon, don't use this technobabble in your offer. But he only wanted to sell to people that already knew that. What else do we know? What's some more engineering technobabble? HVAC. HVAC is a building industry thing, but it's also a mechanical engineering thing. What else we got? I saw the best dad joke yesterday in a meme on LinkedIn. It's not what you expected to hear in lecture, is it? All right. I can't. All right, so did you guys know that Ferris wheels are predominantly made out of steel? You guys have all been to a fair, right? Did you know that Ferris wheels are predominantly made out of steel? If they were made out of aluminum, they would be non-Ferris wheels. Best dad joke ever. As long as you are an engineer, right? I could tell that to my kids. It would go right over their head. But I told it to my wife because she's a metallurgist. She thought it was hilarious. All right, Technobabble and Buzzwords. You got to speak the language. And so that was one of the things about the lecture from Tuesday. Tuesday we like say talk like a machinist. So this Technobabble that machinists use. Anybody know some of it? Feeds and speeds was one of them. CNC was one of them. What's a tenth? If you're talking to a machinist in the United States and they say we took off 2/10, what are they telling you? It's a tenth of a thousandth of an inch. A tenth, talk to any machinist in the United States, any machinist that speaks English pretty much. A tenth is a tenth of a thousandth of an inch. What's 2? You're gonna take 2 off this. It's 2 thousandths. Machinists think in thousandths. So a tenth is a tenth of a thousandth. 2 is 2 thousandths of an inch, right? If you know that, you can talk to machinists. If you don't know that, you're going to be really confused. When they say a tenth, you're going to think they mean 0.1 inches, right? Because a tenth of an inch is 0.1 inches. But a tenth to a machinist is a tenth of a thousandth. What's 0.1 inches to a machinist? 100 thou. Right? So Technobabble, it's important to learn the languages. I want to focus, though, mostly on lean manufacturing. As we get to the end of the lean manufacturing talk, we're going to see that a lot of what we hear in lean manufacturing is just common sense. There is nothing magical about anything you could learn about lean manufacturing except for its organization and the use of buzzwords and technobabble to organize it so that we can communicate with each other. I'm going to jump out to this video quickly. See. I'm going to try to turn the audio back on without getting too much feedback. Feedback. Echo. Echo, echo. This is not going to work. Maybe if I mute the microphone. Now. Because what I say is coming back to this and then come. I'm going to try the video and see what happens.
Let's say your business is doing well and you're thinking of expanding. That's great, but it's also the riskiest time for your business. In fact, many businesses don't survive the transition. Should you throw money at the problem by investing in new equipment or hiring more people? Should you make mistakes and more overtime? Your answers to questions like these can make or break your business. And that's where Lean comes in. Lean is a philosophy about delivering value from your customer's perspective, eliminating waste, and continuously improving your processes.
I wish I could make the little pop-up go away. What are the buzzwords on this slide? in his little video. See if I make this full screen. If I make it full screen, will it play? It'll play it from the beginning, of course, with an ad. Oh. There, I made the ad go away. Oh, and there we are. There. Oh, come on. All right. So what are the engineering or the manufacturing buzzwords, Technobabble, on this slide? So lean is the first one that jumps out, right? So go ahead. Value, waste, and continuous improvement, right? So Technobabble could be a phrase. It doesn't have to be just a word. How about your process? Does process mean something special in manufacturing engineering? Right? It's not the same as, I don't know. When else do you use the word process? See, I'm a manufacturing engineer. I can't think this clearly. When else do you use the word process? All right, in CS you use process, and it's not the same as process in manufacturing engineering, is it? No, it's like a program. It's totally the same. Process is a black box. It's got inputs, it's got outputs. In CS, a process is a black box, right? It's got inputs, it's got outputs, right? It's a container, right? That's another word you use in CS is container, right? Yeah. We have containers in manufacturing also. They hold liquids usually. Sometimes they hold like chips, right? Right. So that's how the use of the word container is different between the two fields. So you got to get in context what it means. Deliver value, value itself, deliver value. So deliver value from your customer's perspective. Okay, from the view, because prospective customers are a thing too, right? They're leads, right? That's a little bit of marketing technobabble. Prospective customers are leads. They're not customers until they buy something from you. Eliminate waste. Okay, let's continue. Unmute. Try not to feedback.
Lean can radically change the way you do business. Lean management is based on 4 principles. The first principle is pull. Rather than producing as much as possible, customer demand pulls goods or services through the manufacturing process. This minimizes overproduction, inventory, and ultimately working capital. The second is one-piece flow. Focusing on one single piece at a time minimizes work in progress, process interruptions, lead and waiting time, while increasing quality and flexibility. The third is tact. It's the heartbeat of a lean system. It's how fast you need to manufacture a product to meet customer demand. Tact allows us to balance work content, achieve a continuous flow, and respond flexibly to changes in the marketplace. And the fourth is zero defects. Mistakes happen, but a lean company doesn't pass on defects. Mistakes from previous steps must be fixed before going on. Combined with a robust continuous improvement process, the 4 principles of lean management will help your company stay ahead of the competition in a constantly changing marketplace. So, if you're ready to begin your lean journey, contact us today. Let us show you how lean can bring out the best in your business.
All right, so these guys, give them a plug because they did this really cool video. So if you want to see how lean can bring out the most in your business, you could contact these 4principles.ae people. Or you could Google lean manufacturing. Who did that already? Right, I asked you all to Google lean manufacturing when you came in here. What was your initial? Oh, if we look at the semantic content of this video, if we just listen to the words and then separate out the percentage of buzzwords to non-buzzwords in this video, especially if we discount a and it and the, what do you think the percentage is? I mean, I was doing it, sort of keeping a running tab in my head here as we went through. What do you think? Yeah.
50-50.
No way. I think it's way higher than that. I think it's like 90% buzzwords, what they're saying here. And maybe it's because I know more of the buzzwords and you didn't even know they were buzzwords as they flew past, right? So I would say that it's probably poor marketing copy, but it was a great video for this class. Back to Technobabble buzzwords. It does that every single time. You'd think at a tech school, the professor, did I tell you that I forgot a whole career, 7. Sorry. I was also once a senior software engineer. You'd think I'd be able to handle a PowerPoint slide. Yeah, I think there's ways to do it too. I'd like to think I could figure them out, but apparently I can't. Sometimes you just have to give up and move on. All right, so you guys Googled this. What is lean manufacturing?
The reduction of non-value added time through the reduction of weight.
No, I don't want to control the camera. I want to control the room. Up. Is that the one that's in the middle? Down. Up. Is that the one that's in the middle? Sweet. That way I can project my title on the top and I can write underneath it. Master of technology. All right, what is lean manufacturing? Everybody that clapped gets a bonus point on the final, by the way. What is lean manufacturing? You said something. Right. Of non-value added time. Reduction of non-value added time. That's it. Through the pursuit of reducing waste. Pursuit. UIT. Pursue it. Through the pursuit of although I would prefer to reduce sorry, little fat joke. All right, so reduction of non-value added time through the pursuit of reducing waste. Is that lean? Does it clearly define lean? It may not be the way I would phrase it, but I think he's got a lot of the right buzzwords. What's lean manufacturing? Somebody over here. Can you add to this? Could you take something away from this? You all Googled it. Some of you had 10 minutes. Really? Was it because it was so long ago in time that you don't remember? Or was it because you didn't really care when you were looking at it? Really? What is lean manufacturing? Somebody, all right, I'll take it. Anyone else in the classroom? Nobody's willing. What's your name? Bill? Phil. Phil definitely gets bonus points on the final. Phil. Somebody else. Is this all encompassing? Because if that's all it is, we can go home.
Making like the exact number of parts your customers want.
All right, so that may be a way to do it, right? So make exactly the right number of parts. What does making the exact number of parts your customer wants do for us? If this is the definition of lean manufacturing, reduce non-value added time through the pursuit of reducing waste, what is only making parts that our customers want to buy do for us? We don't store excess parts, so no inventory. There's no inventory. What else does it do for us? No overproduction. Overproduction causes inventory, so we don't waste time making parts our customers don't want. It cuts costs by, I agree, it cuts costs. Does it cut costs by reducing inventory and eliminating overproduction? I like it. It cuts costs. This is, right, so is all cost waste? That's a philosophical question. Go ahead.
I mean, technically,
I think all cost is waste from our perspective of we want a profit, right? If we can make cost go to zero, profit could go to infinity. So it's now there's different kinds of waste. In lean manufacturing, and for some reason, when we do lean manufacturing, we like to use Japanese words. Is there anybody here that actually speaks Japanese? So either you have to ignore when I mispronounce something, or you have to correct me and pronounce it the right way. Got it? All right, so muda, that's a kind of waste. Is that actually a Japanese word?
Yeah.
What does it mean? Waste. Okay, so all waste is muda. So there's two different kinds of muda. There's two different kinds of waste. Why can't we just call it waste? Why is it Japanese? Why is all the lean stuff Japanese? Did somebody get this from Googling it, or did you just know? You didn't answer my question. Did you get it from Googling, or did you just know? You knew that. Okay, somebody else. He says it all came from Toyota. Is that the reason?
I guess I don't know, might have to do with the cultural affinity for pride and work, possibly.
Could be. Is that true? Japanese take pride in their. Do you just speak Japanese, or do you have Japanese culture in your mind?
yeah, they do take credit.
Yeah, I think so. I think there's plenty of Americans that take pride in their work too, though. So the reason lean manufacturing comes from Toyota, and the reason we use all these Japanese words is because the Toyota production system, which what we today call lean manufacturing, was based on. Well, in Toyota they use Japanese words because it was a Japanese company, right? That kind of makes sense. But the reason lean manufacturing is based on the Toyota production system is the people that coined the phrase lean manufacturing, did it after studying the Toyota production system to find out why Toyota was so much more efficient at making cars than the US car manufacturers were. So they went over there to study. It was a couple of American guys went over there to study the Toyota production system to learn about this. They made this phrase lean manufacturing. And so a lot of the things we talk about in lean manufacturing come out of systems developed at Toyota when they were learning how to beat the crap out of the US car manufacturers in efficiency and sales. So, okay. So did you know there's a guy named Toyota? Like Toyota is the name of the founder of the company. Do you guys know that? So a reporter asked Mr. Toyota, was it Mr. Doctor? I can't remember. He may have had a doctorate, but they asked the Toyota guy. They asked him, how did you come up with your ideas for the Toyota production system and lean manufacturing? Anybody know what his answer was?
Didn't they go to America?
He said, I read Henry Ford's book. He actually went to Ford factories, studied how Ford's assembly lines worked and things like that, figured out what was working for Ford and what wasn't working, right? So he had to be critical when he was there. He's not just copying. But his answer is the coolest answer ever. I read Henry Ford's book. So, all right, so lean manufacturing, maybe the Toyota production system, but it's based on Ford, right? All right, so lean manufacturing is about reducing Reduction. I would change this definition just a little bit. Can we do that? Can we edit the definition since I'm the professor? All right. So reducing, a lot of people say minimize. Reduce, minimize. Right, you minimize partly by reducing. So minimize non-value added. It's not just time, right? I could say time, I could say activity, I could say processes. It's really all of those things. Is there a word that covers all that? Yeah.
Sorry.
This is the best answer I've ever had to a question I've asked in M1800. What's your name? David is also getting points on the final. Nouns. That's the word that covers all those things. Non-value. All right. So non-value added stuff. Non-value. I like activity, but I suppose but it could be also buying inventory. All right. So buying the inventory, that's an activity. You get a hand up. Content. It's very, I like it. It's very abstract. It's a good use of jargon and technobabble because nobody that's not in this classroom or watching this video is going to know what we mean at the end when they read it. So let's go with that one, content. Because the content includes the activity of the buying. Isn't it verbs? Buying, doing, thinking, moving. Depends on the context. I guess all nouns can become verbs, right? I have 2 kids in elementary school, or 1 in middle school, 1 in elementary school. I should be able to figure this out from helping them with their homework. All right, so non-value added content, activity, stuff, through the purist pursuit, through, there you go, through reducing waste. By the way, pro tip for technical writing. If you can delete the word without changing the meaning of the sentence, delete the word. Does that make sense? The word very does not belong in any technical document. This is very exciting. In fact, any word that you could replace with the word damn, delete the word, right? This is a very exciting achievement. This is a damn exciting achievement. Delete the word, right? Technical writing pro tips. Doesn't mean in informative writing you shouldn't use those words. Talking about technical reports. Oh, is your business plan for your group project a technical report or is it informative writing? Just when you're ready to hand it in, do a find and replace all of the varies in your document with damn, and I will be impressed. All right. Minimize non-value added content through reducing. I usually say through the reduction of, but through reducing waste is actually more compact, right? So anybody know what they meant when they said pull in the video? So ultimately what we would love is the customer swipes their credit card on our website. I mean, pick your means of getting the information. The customer swipes their credit card and then we begin the production, right? And we don't incur any cost associated with that product until after the customer has swiped their credit card. Now, a lot of stuff that customers want take lots of processes. You would agree? I mean, name a one component widget that you might buy for somebody for a Christmas gift? I could think of one off the top of my head. I'm going to see if anybody else can think of, would you buy something for someone as a Christmas gift or whatever holiday you give gifts for? I don't care. I don't want to be... See, my father gave me a bag of coal once, but he never gave me a lump of coal. But maybe that's because we were middle class growing up. So he could afford a whole bag. He didn't have to just separate out a piece. He also worked at a coal burning power plant. It was a joke, but he was, you remember hearing in the news about all these clean coal power plants that they were building? When green energy became the thing, and then they put all this green energy funding towards making clean coal plants. Yeah, my father's company built all those clean coal plants. They made a lot of profit off that. That was good. I used to go with them to job sites, and I was touring one of these. They were building a second unit at a coal burning power plant in Nebraska. And so they were building the second unit at the same power plant. And we were up on top of so steam power, and then it spins a turbine spins a generator, makes electricity, sends it out to the grid. So we're on top of the turbine building, surveying the plant across the street, which my father's company had also built. That was an ethanol plant. This is where all the Nebraska corn growers ship all their corn kernels to this ethanol plant, and they take the corn and they turn it into ethanol, which becomes an additive in the gasoline, which, by the way, then makes the gasoline less efficient. You guys know that, right? Put the ethanol in the gasoline's less efficient. My father was telling me that the ethanol plant buys all of their coal from the power plant because the ethanol plant didn't have a pulverizer to pulverize the coal. And in order to have a clean coal burning fire, you need to have really small particles of coal when you put them in the furnace. They burn coal to make the ethanol, to make the gasoline less efficient. Think about that. Okay, back to lean manufacturing. So that's waste right there, isn't it? The whole process is waste. All that money that they invested in the clean coal thing is actually a cool thing because they precipitate out all the bad stuff in the exhaust, and they actually capture that. And the stuff they pull out of the gases going up the exhaust flue, they make gypsum wallboard out of. So there's actually a product in the waste stream from the clean coal plants. Not saying we should build more clean coal plants, but at least it's not as bad as it could have been. Minimize non-value added content through reducing waste. So often we say activity here, but non-value added stuff. So pull is don't make stuff till the customers want it. It actually falls in the production line also. Don't make the part. So if you've got an assembly line where you got, all right, so we do this process here, then we move the part, we do this process here, do the part, we move this process here, and it goes along. And so maybe raw material goes in here, and we got these different processes, and parts ship out here. Single component widget, by the way, the one I came up with was candle holder. I could buy a candle holder and give it to somebody for Christmas. I'd probably put a candle in it, but most of the things that we buy for people and give to them have multiple parts. So there's multiple processes. That's what I was trying to set up over here. And as we do that, this pull idea taken to its extreme says, don't do the process here until this station needs a part. And so maybe you stay one part ahead. So there would be one, so here you'll have a queue, right? So parts that have been through this step are sitting here until they get done at this step. Does that make sense? So in a truly fully pull system, there's never more than one part in the queue, right? Now, if you wanted to do that through a process like this, what would be the most important thing? Yeah.
Knowing how many parts you sell.
Well, so knowing how many parts you're going to sell will tell you how much money you can afford to invest in setting up this system, right? Because you can figure out then what's my overall profit going to be on this production run or this part. But in reality, if this system is set up efficiently, you could have an order for one part and you could spin it up and spit out one part. Yeah. How long each step takes is critical information. And what would we like it to be? Yes.
In theory, you want them all to take no time, but like,
Well, we'd love it if they, exactly. In theory, no time is great. So we need our Star Trek replicator. That even took time, though. If you watch the episodes, there was a slight hesitation between Earl Grey tea hot and the cup coming out. But yeah,
in the real world, you want them to be like normal.
we want them to be balanced, right? So we want this step to take the same amount of time as this step, to take the same amount of time as this step, take the same amount of time as this step. What if this one takes twice as much? So what if we're balanced, except for this one takes twice as much time as all the rest? So when they all take the same amount of time, they're balanced. Yeah. We buy two machines, right? So half the parts from here go to here and half the parts from here go to here. So you can do things like that to balance the flow in your system. And so we want a balanced flow. Yeah. As you start thinking like a manufacturing engineer and thinking in lean manufacturing ways, you will find a lot of things in the world that are flawed. Tell me about the flaws in the laundry room.
The washing machines take not nearly as long as the dryers, but there are just as many dryers as there are washing machines.
Should be twice as many dryers as there are washers, right? If dryer takes twice as long. Yep. Except there are a number of people that don't use the dryers because they take their clothes home and hang them up, right? Oh, when I lived in a dorm, I had the rack thing. I got it at Target, and there's like the wire thing, and you hang your clothes all over it.
Now, a sellable thing is if it can be machine washable or machine dryable.
Well, yeah, that was in. You know, they make washers and dryers that are the same machine. You put your in for some reason. I when I was in Asia, I saw them everywhere, but in America, nobody has them. With one machine, you put your clothes in it. You come back and they're dry. Takes longer. People say they don't dry as well as standalone dryers, but if you're space limited, who cares, right? So that was a good lean manufacturing approach to solving. So because one of the problems with having so many steps in our chain here is if we're building a factory, we got to have a space for all those steps, right? So what is something else that somebody learned about lean manufacturing? Anybody look up, I mentioned at some point to look up specifically lean manufacturing tools. Anybody find any cool tools? Yeah.
One that I think is kind of cool is Kanban.
Kanban. So can you explain it?
So it's kind of like when it's a signal essentially that something's going on, and it's usually like visual.
So it's a signal that something's going on. Using a Kanban can really help you set up a pull system because you know what needs to be done next. So you guys remember the first day of lab or second day of lab, whenever that was, we had you put some information on the side of your box, right? I think there was there a sticker that said which processes you had finished, or like a printout or something, a card, right? So the idea with that card is it's a Kanban card. So anybody can look at the part and you can see, did they finish this step yet? So again, what's the product from M1800 Labs? He says Stirling engine. Who thinks that we make a Stirling engine in the M1800 Labs? Come on, be proud of your opinions. It's an opinion, right? Be proud. Hands all the way up. Stand up if you think we make a Stirling engine. Stay seated if you think we make a Stirling engine. The people that are not proud have to stand up. What do you think we make? I think we make engineers, right? Stirling engine is a tool to help us make engineers, but my product is you guys coming out knowing more about manufacturing at the end. Okay, so pull systems. What? Anybody ever heard of 5S? Who's had a job in manufacturing already, like a summer job or something like that? Anybody at the place where you worked say the words 5S ever? Do you know what they meant? Some of it? Give us what your understanding of 5S is from somebody that worked in a manufacturing facility. So one of the S's for 5S is shine. So clean up your workspace, shine the workspace. What's the Japanese word for that? It's got to start with an S. Seiko? Seiso, yeah. So for some reason, when we went to lean manufacturing, we took all these Toyota production system ideas that were defined by Japanese words, and they came up with this 5S. And we managed to translate all of those Japanese words that start with the sound S into English words that start with the letter S. I'm not sure how we managed to do that without fudging it a little bit. But so shine is one of the S's. Anybody know what some of the other S's are? Somebody Google it. Look them up. Quick, shout out the 5 S's. What do you got? Sort. So sort. Shine. What else?
Set in order.
Set in order. That may be sort. We didn't always translate them the same way. It means sort of the same thing, right? Yes. Standardize. One, two, three. What else? Sustain. We're writing these in no particular order. Anything else? Anything else?
Safety.
About 10 years ago, people stopped talking about 5S. It started talking about 6S because they realized it was really important to add safety to the 5S's. What else you got for S that belongs on this list? Anybody?
Snacks.
Say again?
Snacks.
Snacks, different list. Anybody else? So so this is more than 5, right? I did say there was magic in our translating from Japanese to English. So some of these overlap, right? Straighten, sort, set in order. That may be all the same thing. Maybe not. Shine is pretty clear, right? So what are the benefits of working in a shiny workspace? We have 2 minutes left. Come on. It's easy to keep it organized. You know if there's something out of place. You don't feel unsafe. Being in a clean workspace is much safer than being in a dirty workspace. Anybody ever take a piece of paper towel? You probably didn't chuck it over your shoulder, right? I would do it in here for dramatic effect. Right? But did you ever take a piece of paper towel, wipe your hands, and leave it on the counter? I probably did it this morning in my kitchen for a moment, right? But that's because I thought it was a Bounty. It's a quicker picker-upper. It still had life in it, and I was going to use it to wipe something else up later, I'm sure. Right? But people have done that. We've certainly seen, especially in the manufacturing labs, pieces of paper towel on counters, right? So I will end on this story about a lack of shine. So there was a group of students working on their project, and it was really greasy, so they're using a lot of paper towels, wiping their hands off, put the paper towel down, wipe the part off, put the paper towel down. Nice big pile of greasy paper towels. On the other side of the wall, by the way, it was not a full wall, it just, up to here, cubicle wall kind of thing. There was some kids working on the same project, but a different part of the project, and they needed to use an angle grinder to make a piece of material different shape. So they're angle grinding. Anybody ever used an angle grinder before? On a ferrous part? What happens? Sparks come off, right? So the sparks bounce around. Some of them bounce and go over the wall. And so they're grinding away. don't realize that there's a fire on the other side of the wall from them because their partners had left this pile of paper towels laying around. So lack of shine reduces safety. Same thing, spill some water on the floor. It's not a big deal, right? You know, as you're working in your work area, to step around it until your manager comes and slips. All right, this is my brief introduction to lean manufacturing. I do have, yeah, okay, you can look it up. There's a lot of different stuff. Yeah. All right, here is my 5S list. Scrounge, steal. Stash, this one's important if you work in a busy facility. Scramble, that's what you do when the boss says you have to ship the parts. And search, that's what you spend doing often when other people have been stashing and scrounging and stealing from you. So don't do these 5 S's. And lean manufacturing. Understand value and waste. Use the tools that help. I'll see you guys when do we meet again? Tuesday? See you guys on Tuesday.
If you have time for a stupid anecdote,
I do. Do you want it on camera?
no,
I'll end first then.
just you mentioned